Hello, my name is Sean Watson. I'm the assistant principal at Lyndhurst 7th and 8th grade center. A little bit about me. I grew up here on the west side of Indianapolis. I did not attend Wayne Township schools, but did go to Speedway High School. And then from Speedway High School, went to Indiana Wesleyan University, where I majored in social studies education and special education. And then from there, went to Ball State University, where I obtained my master's in educational leadership and supervision. I've been in Wayne Township for the last 8 years. All of those have been here at Lyndhurst. Came in initially as a teacher, then transitioned into the special education department chair role, and then from there moved on. For the last several years, have served as the assistant principal here at Lyndhurst. When thinking about Black History Month and really thinking about the different events and people of history that played a significant role in the impact of Black history, I wanted to merge my passion for both history as well as education and talk about a landmark court case that has had a significant impact even on how schools run today, and that is Brown versus the Board of Education. This court case actually initially started in Topeka, Kansas, with a student by the name of Linda Brown. It was a young Black student who was attempting to enroll in the school that was closest to her, but that was an all-white school. And so the school would not enroll her, and they basically said, oh, no, you need to be bused to the school that's farther away. The Brown family, as well as other families in the community, had kind of band together and filed a lawsuit against the Board of Education there in Topeka, Kansas, basically challenging whether or not segregation on the basis of race should be allowed in their state. The court system there in Kansas ultimately did not rule in favor of Brown. They actually ruled in favor of the school system, and they had used a argument from a previous court case that had been held in 1896 as kind of the precedent, which had established in Plessy versus Ferguson, had established this idea of separate but equal. And that idea maintained that racial segregation would be allowed to continue as long as the facilities that are used for both Black and white individuals were equal or comparable. And they had used that as the basis for public education to say that as long as they're having equal facilities, then they can continue to be segregated by race. Eventually, they would take this case and would appeal that to the Supreme Court, which is the highest court system in the United States. And it would take several years, from really about 1951 to 1954, for them to hear some testimony and really decide what they were going to do with this case. Ultimately, and part of that decision is it wasn't just the Brown component. It actually merged several other desegregation cases along with the Brown case and had it all under the title of Brown versus Board of Education, and presented it to the Supreme Court. Ultimately, in 1954, the courts did rule in a unanimous decision, which was 9-0, that the students of color were being deprived of equal protection under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, and ruled that segregation on the basis of race in public schools was unconstitutional. And so this had a significant impact to our history in that it ended racial segregation in schools. It made it to where it was no longer allowed. Not only that, but it helped to really spark the civil rights movement that would eventually kind of come after this case, and also began a long journey toward a more equal educational system here in America. Along with that, this Brown court case also has been used as a precedent-setting case for a lot of court cases that have been held after, especially even immediately after, as they were trying to figure out what does this look like in America, how does this look in all of the different states with their different philosophies and all of those things. They used this as a precedent to be able to rule for various other court cases that would be eventually heard. Another piece that's important to note is that one of the predominant members as a chief counsel on this case was a man by the name of Thurgood Marshall. who would eventually become, in 1967, the first African American Supreme Court justice to serve on the Supreme Court. And he would serve not only from 1967, he would serve from 1967 to 1991 and have a lasting impact on the court systems in the United States and a lot of court cases that were heard by the Supreme Court. And so he had a definite significant impact on that. And so all of this to say, this court case ultimately helped to end that racial segregation and start kind of making schools more diverse. As a school system like Wayne Township, where we really pride ourselves on our diversity, this court case was an instrumental piece in the championing that work that has been established from long ago. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of these videos and have a great day.